How would you like to get the rest of August for free? The NFL has 16 preseason games on Thursday. College football season starts this Saturday, and the MLB pennant races are heating up. And you can get all of it for free. Signing up for September with your favorite handicapper at WagerTalk and Sports Memo will get you the rest of this month as a bonus. This is clearly an early bird gets you the worm scenario, as the earlier you sign up, the more free days you'll receive. Every play from every sport that your go-to handicapper releases will be yours until September 30th. That's at least 5 full weeks of action and perhaps more, all for only $2.99. Each handicapper has this special loaded on their homepage, so head there now.
Hey guys, welcome in to yet another season here of the college football kickoff show powered by WagerTalk.com. I'm Joe Ranieri, and boy oh boy, week 0. It is upon us. Another season of college football. Nothing like it, and nothing like the 3 gentlemen here today who are going to have an opportunity to break this all down with you, as Drew Martin back in the house. Adam Trigger is here, and of course, Mr. Dave Cokin, all here to talk about a few of these games coming up this weekend. And Drew, it's here, man. We thought it'd never get here. College football is back, my friend. I know you're excited, so talk to us. What do you got going on right now over at WagerTalk.com as we get ready for football?
Yeah, Joe, thanks for having me on, and I am excited. I mean, college football season is here Saturday. Hey, it might not be the best slate, but we're going to talk about 3 games with some betting opinions here. So, roll the dice a little bit. We'll see what happens. And, hey, it's starting out early, 9:30 a.m. Pacific here, Joe, going all the way to the island. 10:30 Eastern degenerate special, which we're breaking down. So excited to do that with you, Joe. Excited to do that throughout the season. And at Wager Talk, got the packages up. Got a 5% here going for week 0. Got one going week 1. I'm going to slot in here shortly. And off of last year, top 10 finish in the Golden Nugget contest. So looking to kind of do the same. I'd be happy with that again this year, Joe. So just kind of trying to roll over last year's success into this year's college football season, and happy to be on with you boys.
Oh, absolutely outstanding, guys. WagerTalk.com. Make sure you visit Drew. Make sure you also visit his partner in crime there, Adam Trigger. Make sure you check these guys out on The Hustle. Also, Wednesdays at Wager Talk. Make sure you download that app, guys. Never miss a show. And talk to me here, Trig. You've been talking about college football. Well, at least you've been mumbling about college football for a while now. You can't wait. It's here. So talk to us. What do you got up and ready to go at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, I was with Drew when he cashed that Golden Nugget ticket last year, and I just unloaded on contest entries last week. So hopefully the contests go okay for me as well. I've got a bunch on my page. 5% baseball play tonight. 14-3 in my last 17 5% plays. I also have a preseason football play up as well, and a Korean baseball play. I haven't posted anything for week 1 NCAA football, but I will tell you guys what, if it's any of these 3 games we talk about today, which I have opinions on, I'll just throw it up for free. But yeah, football went great last year. I felt like college football specifically took a step back toward normalcy from the crazy COVID year of 2020. And I think it'll be even more normal this year. I know early on we had some COVID cancellations, and hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, couldn't be more excited. It's a better week 0 slate than last year, guys. I'll say that. There's more games. It's a better week 0 slate than last year, and I guess we'll start there.
Oh, not a bad way to start. And somebody who knows a little something about college football. And, Profit, since he is number 1 at Wager Talk in college football profits, guys. Nobody does it like Dave Cokin. And Dave, welcome back for another season on the gridiron. Excited stuff here. What, if anything else, do you have going on at Wager Talk right now?
Focus is college football. And you mentioned I'm number 1 all time in net profits in college football at Wager Talk. And I've got 3 games up for week 1 and 1 game for week 0. And let's talk about the games.
All right, then let us do it, because really, guys, no better place to go than, and I'm sure they were ecstatic over in Dublin to be able to see Nebraska football. Let's be realistic here. Northwestern taking on Nebraska here. 12:30 is going to be the kickoff as the hot seat is alive and well here, Drew, with Scotty Frost. Not so much with our good friend Pat Fitzgerald over there for Northwestern, looking for a bounce-back season. Drew, what do you see here in this game as we kick off the new season?
Well, Joe, I think Nebraska, they're supposed to be better this year. And if you haven't heard that one before, you are watching the wrong show. That seems like a broken record. They're going to be better in Nebraska. Scott Frost, to your and Dave's point, on the hot seat. And it's one of those things in college football, guys. When you fire all your assistants, well, that's kind of your last straw. The next thing to go is you. He's going to need to reach a bowl game, maybe even more, to hold on to his job. And look, handicap in Nebraska, Joe, 44 new players, 22 transfers. There's just a whole lot of unknowns. Could they be better? Sure. Will they? Hey, they haven't really proven that in the past. And in terms of betting in week 0, week 1, it's not a huge volume thing for me. If I bet these games, it's more for like entertainment in terms of lighting up the board. I did pick out a couple that I'm firing on, but the reason being because we're having to trust other people's opinion, meaning the writers, people close to the program, on what they think these teams are coming in. So, hey, am I really going to trust that here in Lincoln, Nebraska? I'm not anyway, at least from a bet-on standpoint. He's going up against Pat Fitzgerald here, Joe. Pat Fitzgerald is 109-90. Keep in mind, in 17 seasons, they're playing in the Big Ten. In my opinion, the second best conference in college football, and he has the ceiling in terms of recruiting because of the academics there at Northwestern, which is a lot more difficult than at Nebraska. So overall, I think we get the better coach. What happens? Last year, 56-7, but a lot can change in just one season in college football. I would look for the Wildcats to be better this year and put 2 touchdowns nearly in our pocket. Hey, I think they can stay within 2 touchdowns, Joe. So give me Northwestern.
He's taking Northwestern to get it done here. Dave, I love how we're starting off, though, right, with a conference game off the bat with Northwestern and Nebraska, but we laughed. Scott Frost, if he ain't better than what he's been, this will be his last year. How do you think we're going to start the season with Nebraska?
Well, let's talk about Scott Frost first. I've got some good contacts in that program, and let's just say that the people that are best connected at Nebraska think Scott Frost is an oddball, and that's the word that you've used. Last year, there were a multitude of off-the-field issues. I'm surprised he's still there. I think this will be his last year. Unless they have a phenomenal season, I think he's going to be gone. On paper, Nebraska's a lot better than Northwestern. It's not really that close. They've got better athletes at almost when I do the position-by-position breakdowns, Nebraska basically wins every position. And a couple of them, they win by big margins. Northwestern was really bad last year. They'll be better this year, but they're not real good. Couple of things about this game. I actually gave Nebraska a point for the site because they've apparently sold like 20 to 25,000 tickets. Northwestern's not going to match that, so this is going to be a Nebraska crowd. And they're just a much better football team. But the downside of that is I don't know that Frost has the team, if you know what I mean, from a chemistry standpoint. If it's a close game, this has been his legacy at Nebraska. If it's close, take the C off the close, and close becomes lose, because that's what Nebraska does anytime it's a close game. So they're a completely untrustworthy team to me. I made the number 12.5 raw. That was a raw number on a neutral field. I added a point for the site because of the Nebraska crowd presence, so 13.5. I don't trust Nebraska. I don't want Northwestern. Adam, I think, has a stronger opinion on this than I do, so I will cede any viewpoint I have on this contest to him.
All right, good stuff. And what about it, Trig? Scott Frost not exactly been a great bet as a favorite in his tenure here. It's been actually nauseating, to tell you the truth. But what do you think? Opening this season, laying a couple of scores. What do you think we're going to get from him?
Well, actually, Joe, that's a good place to start. Scott Frost is a favorite, 8-15. So that is not very good, to say the least. And the biggest thing with Nebraska last year, and why they have a tough time covering the number, they turned the ball over like crazy. And now you've got a roster that has so much sort of turnover on it. You have to wonder how clean of a game that they're going to play here, right? Like, even though I agree with Dave, they're the better team, they have more talent. But going back to something that Drew said, the reason that Pat Fitzgerald is not on the hot seat is last year really was pretty much an outlier year, I think, for him. If you look at his career and you consider the fact that 2020 is what it was with COVID, especially in the Big Ten, where those teams had no fans and it was just a disaster of a year, I'm willing to give Fitzgerald a pass here on that 3-9 season. They bring back Northwestern specifically brings back more of their team. So I feel like I trust this team a little bit more in terms of like going to another country and playing a football game. 4 offensive linemen are back. I always like to look at teams, that return offensive linemen because I think that's where like offensive cohesiveness tends to start. But Nebraska's improved as well. I'll end with this for now. Last year's game in Lincoln, 56-7, is probably inflating this number just a tad. I would have, to make this like a client type best bet, I would have wanted about another point, but it kind of looks like this might be moving that way. So who knows? But from now until game day, if I'm all of a sudden getting 14 and a half with Northwestern, I might have to like officially jump in. I think it's too many points, Joe. I feel like that somehow, some way, this game is more competitive than a 2-touchdown margin.
Yeah, it's a strange one for sure in Dublin, and maybe it'll be part of the best bets here for one of these guys. But we do have a few other games going on here this week in this week 0, and we don't have to look very much further, though. How about another guy with Brett Bielema and Illinois taking on Wyoming? This should be a really interesting one, too, guys. Looking forward to seeing what are we going to get from Wyoming here. And Bielema, well, he made a splash last year, Dave, in week 0, right? Beating good old Scott Frost in Nebraska. What do you think we're going to get this year from this Illinois squad?
Marginal improvement. Might not show in the wins and losses, but I think Bielema's kind of fashioning the program that he wants. He's never going to get to have what he had at Wisconsin, but I do think he's got a better chance to be productive in Illinois than he did in Arkansas, where he was just not going to get the athletes there that could match up with the SEC. Illinois does lose a couple of key offensive linemen from last year, but the reports I'm hearing are that the new guys look pretty good. The biggest change for Illinois, and I think this is significant, is they've got the guy who ran the offense at UT San Antonio is now running the offense in Illinois. So I think it's still going to be a run-first offense, which I'm fine with that. But they're going to play a faster tempo than they did last year, and I think that's a good thing as well. If you've got better athletes, and in this case Illinois has better athletes than Wyoming, push the tempo. Try and wear the other team out. Wyoming, this is going to be one of the things you really got to factor in now in your preseason handicapping in both college football and college basketball, is what took place in the transfer portal. This is something brand new, and we're already seeing that it has major impacts. Well, Wyoming got crushed in the transfer portal. They lost a few of their best players, including Valladay, who was probably the MVP on the team. The quarterback left. They've got almost no returning production from last year, and to me, they're going to have to find a way to stay in this early, or I think they'll get run out. Now, in terms of power ratings, I think the number's about where it should be, and I expected some play in Illinois, which has pushed the number up a little bit. Wyoming needs to keep this close early. If they fall behind, then the Illinois running game is probably just going to take over, and I don't think Wyoming's going to have any way to catch up. So I think all signs point to the Fighting Illini here, not so much in terms of value, But in terms of the matchup itself, I think it goes Illinois' way, and I will side with Illinois minus the points.
Laying the points there with Illinois. I mean, Adam, it really is. Big Ten outclassing the Mountain West here in many aspects. Wyoming did get crushed, but Illinois bringing back 3 of their best rushers again this year. Feels like they just might wear them down when it comes in the fourth quarter. What do you think?
Yeah, Joe, so I kind of started looking at the numbers saying, okay, maybe I can make a case for the dog here. But the more I look at it, the more I think the only way I could get involved would be the under. For a couple of the reasons that Dave has already outlined. One, I do think Illinois, the only way Illinois loses this game, in my opinion, is if they just turn the ball over, give Wyoming a short field, and sort of set up, a couple easy scores for the Cowboys. If they just run it, which they should be able to chew up clock. And I don't think Wyoming's offense is going to have. I don't think they're going to be able to move up the ball a ton here because that's where they seem to get hit hardest in the transfer portal is on the offensive side of the ball. So I looked and said, okay, Illinois can probably still cover this number, scoring 25 to 30 points. I mean, there's theoretically, this very well possible could be Wyoming scoring single digits in this game and struggling to break 10. So even though the total's kind of low here, Joe, I think 44 is going to hold up, even if Illinois does kind of blow them out. So the way I lean here, I think it's going to be under 44. I wouldn't be that shocked if both teams were a little sloppy, but I think the more likely scenario is Illinois kind of builds up their lead and then runs the ball, and it just has a hard to kind of just dies out toward the end of the game, and it just never gets to 44. So the lean here for me and the way I'd be looking to play this game would be the under.
All right, well, not a bad way to look at all there, Drew. I mean, it does kind of scream defense here, although they lost their best rusher last year, Wyoming. He transferred, I believe, to Arizona State. They got a new quarterback. They don't have a whole lot of returning starters here going up against Brett Bielema in Illinois in the Big Ten. What do you think?
Yeah, Brett Bielema, some of his stops, which Dave touched on. What do we know? Really good offensive line. He was an offensive lineman. I mean, if you know anything about his personal life, he's a big, kind of burly guy. He has a pretty good-looking wife, which you met on the blackjack tables in Las Vegas, for a little side note there about Brett Bielema. But he can recruit, is what I'm getting at. And sure enough, all signs in Champaign are they're going to kind of have a better caliber of athlete here this upcoming year. So kind of the sentiment that Dave was pointing to, Illinois might be able to kind of bulldoze over Wyoming because there's a lot of unknowns with Wyoming. They're only returning 4 on offense, 4 on defense. They lose a bunch, new quarterback. However, when you kind of look at a coaching staff that can do well with a lot of unknown, it would be this one. Craig Boyle, if you haven't heard of him, he's one of the best coaches in college football that's nobody really talks about. 3-time FCS national champion at North Dakota State. He's done a great job at Wyoming as well. He's returning both of his offensive and defensive coordinator. The transfer at quarterback position coming in from Utah State, he was in for spring. They got 2 other redshirt freshmen kind of vying for the job. Well, this is one of those games, Joe, of the 3 games we're talking about. This is the one I have kind of the least betting opinion on. However, it's a very good game to watch, to circle, to learn, particularly about the Wyoming Cowboys, because as the market's kind of telling us here, Illinois is the better team, getting bought up from -9 to -11, as high as 11 in the hook out there. However, if Wyoming's able to stay in this game, look pretty good, they could be a money maker in the Mountain West.
Yeah, I mean, the market's telling us points are going to be hard to come by, and I tend to agree with that. Should be a good one to take some notes, Drew, like you said, and so should the late night degenerate special, Drew. I was going to say, take notes and head out to Hawaii, guys, for game number 3 here that we're going to preview is Vanderbilt. Wow, I think just the second game past the Mississippi in a long, long time for this program, heading to Hawaii. 10:30 Eastern time kick, 53.5 is what that number is. And Trig, I'll come to you. Hawaii completely in rebuild mode. Vanderbilt, not so much, but the bottom of the SEC taking on, well, Hawaii in rebuild mode. What do we get here, Trig?
Joe, I'm so happy I get to start this one off because I have so many thoughts here that I want the other guys to sort of react to. First, something I read, Vanderbilt got to Hawaii on Tuesday, and they're quote-unquote traveling the island. Okay? That sounds like a vacation to me, not really, what you would do to prepare for your first game of the season. But that's nice that they're getting some team building in there, I guess. Second, the thing that just okay, so I know sharp guys hit this at 6, but now I think you have just the general sort of betting public looking for something to bet on Saturday in college football. And I don't think people really know why they're betting Vanderbilt. I think they're just kind of looking at the board and saying, oh, Hawaii, Vandy, late spot, whatever, we'll lay the points and there's the bet. And now it's gotten up to 8, maybe even 8.5 in some place. And I'm wondering if that's gotten a little too out of control, where I might consider coming in with Hawaii. Now, the concern with Hawaii here is they've also got crushed in the transfer portal. I believe I read 6 starters back this year. And they're one of the youngest, most inexperienced teams in college football. Of course, new head coach, the whole disaster in the offseason, it is something to consider. But you're going to have guys like these guys are absolutely going to be up for this game on the Hawaii side because it's probably the first big game most of them have played, at least that they're playing key minutes in. And now you're going to have some fans in attendance. Remember, Hawaii got hit real hard by COVID, so they didn't have fans for a while. But they're basically playing in a complex that's going to be 9,000 fans, and it should easily sell out, which should make an interesting environment for Hawaii. What it comes down to here is I certainly don't trust Vanderbilt laying that number. And now you're kind of getting a good number with Hawaii. I haven't decided if I can come in with Hawaii plus the points yet for a client play, only because there's so many question marks there. But I wouldn't lay it with Vandy, and I'm curious to see what Dave and Drew think about that.
Well, Drew, you have been on top of the late night degenerate specials, which usually include Hawaii at some point at a really night 11:30 start. But this is a totally different team. Former QB Timmy Chang takes over. The former coach completely upended, destroyed this program on a lot of levels there. Mr. Graham there, Coach Graham. But they seem to be in good hands with some familiar faces. But does that translate right off the bat in game one here against the bottom of the SEC?
Sure, Joe. I mean, just a great matchup overall. Talking about a handicap, an SEC team going to Hawaii, playing out the gate. It's fascinating to me, just to handicap this in general, Joe. But talking about the Hawaii side of things first, Timmy Chang coming in, great quarterback overall there for Hawaii. I believe he actually left his college career as the all-time passing leader. Has since been surpassed, but still, to tell you what he could do on the field, he's getting his first head coaching experience. Actually, I believe it's his first coaching spot that's coordinator or head coach. He's going from position coach to head coach, which is a huge question mark. However, I think he did a pretty good job. Offensive coordinator, he brings in from Eastern Washington. They had a pretty good offense last season. Plus the fact QB Chevin Cordero, he leaves. They get a new quarterback from Washington State I'm pretty interested in. Supposedly a bunch of the backup quarterbacks playing good ball as well if you go by the beat writers there at Hawaii. But overall, Joe, you talked about the Todd Graham situation at Hawaii, and from everything I read, it was terrible. But at the same time, they lost a lot of players, and whenever the kind of coach-player thing, oh, they mistreat us, oh, we're working too hard, whatever the case may be, it's actually sometimes good to have a reset. Get the coach out, get a lot of those players out, now bring in new players. So I'm a little bit more optimistic about Hawaii. Now, granted, it's a first-year head coach in Timmy Chang. Now, about the Vanderbilt side of things, and Trig brought up, sharp money from what it opened 2.5, looking at the WagerTalk odds screen. Now we're seeing 8, as high as 8.5. I believe the sharp money is water under the bridge by now, particularly because the one shop showing 8 in the hook, that hook is from DraftKings. DraftKings is not a sharp book. So when you start talking about, high watermark and DraftKings is that, I wouldn't necessarily call Vanderbilt a sharp side at this point. plus the fact, Joe, are you really laying more than a touchdown with a team that's quote-unquote traveling the island, according to Trig? I like that stat, Trig. But they're 2-10 last year, Joe. They're 0-9 the year before. They were 3-9 the year before that. I'll do the math for all of you. That's 5-28 the last 3 years. Oh, by the way, they beat UConn by 2 points last year, and they lost out of the gate to East Tennessee State as 21-point favorites in Week 1 last year. They lost that game outright 23-3 to an FCS opponent. I'm not laying 8. I'm not laying 8.5 with Vanderbilt. I don't love this game, but because it's degenerate special, I've got to bet something here, Joe. Give me the dog on the island late night. Give me the Warriors, the Rainbow Warriors, that is.
Boy, Drew, I knew you'd get there, man. I knew you'd get there. But, Dave, it's interesting because this is historically teams who start the season on the road in Hawaii. 1-7-1 against the number. It hasn't been a ton of success from a betting perspective there. What do you think? You trust Vanderbilt with their 2 wins to start the season in Hawaii?
No. I got a good baseball program at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Basketball program could be okay. The football program is eternally awful and will stay that way. But it's a complete rebuild for Hawaii. And I have no idea whether these guys can play or not. So I kind of made a number on the game back when I first did my numbers, and I Vanderbilt 6. What I think might happen, and this is just a guess, okay? Timmy Chang, he had some riverboat gambler in him when he was the QB for Hawaii. He liked to chuck it all over the field, and I think he's going to do the same thing as a coach. I mean, zebras don't change their stripes. Is that the expression? And what has he got? He got nothing to lose anyway, because everybody thinks the program's going to suck. You want to fire up the local fan base, just grip it and rip it. See what happens. If you turn it over, okay. If you get some scores, okay. I think you play over. If you're going to stay up and watch this nonsense, root for a lot of points. And the number isn't that bad. So I'll give you a lean on the over between Vanderbilt and Hawaii. I won't be betting it personally. Hopefully I can watch it. I don't know if it's on CBS Sports or not. Might have to stream it. Somebody pointed that Stadium One is going to be the streamer for Hawaii this year. I don't know. I got a smart TV. Hopefully it's smart enough to find this game. That's it. No bet. Just a guess on the over.
Yeah, it certainly does feel like where points are going to be coming there for that late night game. But there's a few other ones, guys, and I do want to remind you, of course, that the packages are up and available. And don't forget, when you get a sec, make sure you guys are always monitoring the live odds page at WagerTalk.com, up-to-the-date information as far as when the line moves, whether it be up, down, points, all sorts of great information, guys, over at the Wager Talk live odds page. Not to mention, you can visit Dave Cokin, his page, as well as Adam Trigger and Drew Martin there. Grab those college football packages now. Hop on board. It's going to be one hell of a profitable season here in college football. And Dave, number one over the years, guys, in college football. Yeah, Davey.
How much does it cost to get those live odds from Wager Talk?
You know, that's a fantastic question. Zero. Spot, just like the week. That's right, week 0. And that's how much it costs for you to be able to get all that up-to-date, guys, information over at WagerTalk.com. All right, Drew, you are going to start us off our very first best bet here of the season. And granted, there's not a lot to choose from, but hey, I know you got something for us, man, so talk to us. What are you looking at here for a best bet?
Sure, we got 7 games to choose from. Joe, give me the late night special. I was going to go with that 12:30, 9:30 a.m. Pacific in Dublin, but I think the travel, I don't know, it's throwing me off a little bit. So I'll take the travel from Nashville to Hawaii and traveling the island. Give me the Rainbow Warriors, plus as high as 8.5 at DraftKings, plus 8 elsewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually ticks up with more kind of square bettors jumping on the SEC team, the 5-28 the last 3 years SEC team that who knows if they're any good, beating UConn by 2 points last year. Hey, Hawaii, I like what Dave said too. Grip it and rip it with Timmy Chang. Who knows? Maybe they get a couple, deep shots down the field. Maybe slip through the back door as well in front of that home crowd. Late night degenerate special. Give me the dog, Joe.
All right, going with the Warriors there for a best bet. Trig, come on, man. Where are you going here for a best bet in this week 0?
I like Northwestern plus the points. I think the line is inflated based on what happened last year in this matchup, which was a 56-7 blowout by Nebraska. But that game was in Lincoln, and of course, this game is in another country entirely, Joe, which I think could be a little bit of an equalizer here. Nebraska's got a lot of new faces. They've got some new coaches, and they've been horrible as a favorite under Scott Frost, which I think is worth pointing out at this point because the sample size is getting up there. 8-15 as a favorite under Frost. I think Pat Fitzgerald, like I said earlier in the show, last year was an outlier. I'll give him a pass because they were coming off of that 2020 disaster of a season with COVID. The guy's been a great coach for a long time. And he's got a lot of guys returning, so I expect them to take a step forward from 3-9. Most notably the offensive line. There's 4 starters back there, and I think early in the season that really matters. As the season goes along, it might not matter as much, but coming out of the gate first game, having an offensive line that's played together and has some experience is a big deal. I just think if this got up to 14 and a half. I might consider adding this for like something significant, but as it stands right now, a very strong lean. But yeah, best bet as far as it goes for week 0 right now, I would take the points with Northwestern. I think they'll find a way to hang around this game and keep it within the number.
All right, looking at Northwestern and the points. And Dave, talk to us. Which way you looking here in this week 0, week 1 situation?
So I have one week 0 play, which is a 3% play, and refuse to go any higher than that. But I do have 3 best bets up for week 1. One of those is a free play, and I'm going to tell you about that one right now. That's Clemson, Georgia Tech. I think this Clemson team is in a big rebound mode. They just could not get anything going offensively last year. They had to live off the defense, which spent way too much time on the field. I don't know if the quarterback play is going to be that much better, but I think every aspect of the Clemson Tigers is better than it was a year ago. And I think that coming off what by their standards was a really bad year, this team's going to be focused and ready to go in week 1. Georgia Tech did not do well in the transfer portal. I think they're going to be a bad football team. I don't give them any kind of a home field edge here. I think this crowd will end up being more Clemson than Georgia Tech in some ways. I made the number higher. I think even it's going up to 21, but I think that's still, I won't say a bargain, but it's certainly playable. And it's on my card. I've got Clemson as a 4% play next week, and I'll use it right here for the best bet on our debut show for this year. Clemson Tigers.
That's what I'm talking about here, guys. Once again, Drew Martin looking at that Hawaii team there, plus 8.5, the last game there of week 0. Trig back in Northwestern, take the points, little inflated in his mind. And Dave going right out with a week 1 winner here. Clemson lay the points against Georgia Tech, who will be lucky to win 2 games here this year, if that. And guys, just like that, we are off and running here. College football is back. So is the college football kickoff show here, powered by WagerTalk.com. The best damn college football show will appear as well, guys. We're getting back into the swing of things on the gridiron. So do us a favor. Make sure you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Hit that like button and make plans to come back and join us here as we break down college football now, well, right through the national championship. And on behalf of Dave, Adam, and Drew, guys, we appreciate the time. Make sure you come back, join us again tomorrow. And until then, best of luck with your plays tonight. We'll talk to you again real soon.
How would you like to get the rest of August for free? The NFL has 16 preseason games on Thursday. College football season starts this Saturday, and the MLB pennant races are heating up. And you can get all of it for free. Signing up for September with your favorite handicapper at WagerTalk and Sports Memo will get you the rest of this month as a bonus. This is clearly an early bird gets you the worm scenario, as the earlier you sign up, the more free days you'll receive. Every play from every sport that your go-to handicapper releases will be yours until September 30th. That's at least 5 full weeks of action and perhaps more, all for only $2.99. Each handicapper has this special loaded on their homepage, so head there now.